Happy Thursday. Time for another Make It at Home. This week we are doing cutout lanterns. Here is a finished product. So in your kit you will obviously have the directions and 3 choices of stencil. We have hearts, moon and stars, and dog with stars. You also will have a plastic bottle that has been washed and cleaned. This one is reused from the snowstorm, so that's why it's got the paint. Yours will not. They have never been used. There, you'll also have a flameless tea light. It's battery operated. Yours will have the plastic in the bottom still, so you'll need to pull that out before you turn it on. You also need to have a craft knife. It's pretty essential for this project, so if you don't have one, I'm sorry. Try to find one. You also need scissors and Scotch tape. So to get started, pick the design that you want to use. I have already done the moon and stars one. This one's probably the easiest because it is just cutouts, and they are solid pieces, nothing too detailed. The dog and stars one is also pretty easy. I do want to mention that on the inner piece with the dog, this section here, if you cut the black out, you'll lose this leg piece. So what I did was leave a little bit of the black to make sure that piece stayed attached. Okay, so the directions say that any place that is black, you're going to cut out fully, and that any piece that is gray, you're just going to use the craft knife to cut the lines out with. So for this one, I should have edited it, but I didn't. On the hearts, if you leave a little spot not cut, then you can flap them. Otherwise, if you cut them out just on that line, you'll get a whole heart cut out shape. Totally up to you. This is the one I'm going to work on. You want to make sure that you have a cutting board, either a craft cutting board, or I just like to use pieces of cardboard that are pretty thick. That way I'm not damaging the tabletop. And I'm not going to cut out this whole thing. I'm just going to show you the general idea. So I'll start with one of the big black pieces. And like all of my art and craft projects, these do not have to turn out perfectly. It's actually pretty hard to use a craft knife. You wouldn't think it is, but sometimes the blade bends, gets away from you, and that's totally fine. So as you can see, I've clearly missed some of this black piece. I can go back over it with craft knife later, or I can just leave it. You don't have to cut it out all in one piece. You can cut pieces out and work on it. You do want to try to keep the extra white space free of marks, because if you have cuts in them, the light will shine through. So that's the general idea for the black piece. Then for the gray lines, like I said, you just want to take your craft knife and cut along those lines. You don't have to worry about getting all of the gray out. And then for the hearts, if you decide you want to cut an entire heart out, that's up to you. But I'm just going to show you how I'm going to leave basically this whole side uncut. So then I can bend it. And it gives it a bit of a 3D effect when you wrap it around the bottle. Okay, so again, you're going to cut out all of the black pieces. You're just going to do lines on the gray, and the light will shine through on those pieces. Once you have your stencil done, you can set it aside, and then you're going to cut off the top of your plastic bottle. You can get started with the craft knife, and you want it to be about 7 inches or so. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm not going to measure it. Basically, you want to cut off after it stops rounding. So I'm going to do it about here. I'm just going to poke a hole with the craft knife. And then you can actually fold the bottle. And then if you want to use scissors, you can do it that way as well. That's pretty even. You can straighten it up if you want to, but it's mostly going to be hidden by the stencil. So when you've got your stencil completely cut out, and I'm going to use the dog one here since it's mostly done, you want to cut it. So I've taken a ruler and measured. The initial design on the page is about 6 by 6, give or take, and the width of the bottle is about almost 8 inches, 7.5. So I went ahead and cut the paper on the edge to about 8 inches. You can see, let me zoom out some. Ooh. So you've got your original 8.5 by 11. And then I just cut off an equal amount on the ends. Here and over here. And then once you have that done, you're going to line it up at the bottom of the bottle. You don't want it to go past the bottom because it won't sit even. And then also the bottles are still kind of sticky where the label was, so you can use that to help keep your paper in place while you're wrapping it. And if you don't cut it beforehand, that's okay. Just make sure that you're trimming off any excess so it's not covering up your design. Try to make sure that that bottom is even. And this is where your Scotch tape comes in. You can cover the whole seam or you can just do a little bit. And also line it up at the top. So as you can see, this is taller than the bottle, but you do need to cut the top off so that you can put the tea light in. And then if you have a piece like this, you can use more tape to tape that down. Just do the old folding the tape on itself. Or if you want to be fancy and if you've got double-sided tape, you can use that as well. Just make sure it's not going to poke through any opening. Alright, so that's a general idea. And then just take your tea light, make sure it's on, and place it in your bottle. You can drop it in or you can just slide it. Make sure it's upright. Okay. There you go. So you get a little flickering effect. I'll show you the other one. Obviously a little hard to see with the lights on. Alright, and you can keep it for yourself or you can give it to someone. Just a little extra glow for your life. Right, thanks for watching.